Good evening, everybody. It was a hectic day now, wasn't it? The Nigerian state proves itself to be exactly what it is. Again, unleashing terror against peaceful demonstrators. But they can only postpone their evil day, and they can only continue to train the people to understand the unyielding nature of the evil that has overtaken Nigeria. Tonight, I intend that we should speak specifically on the subject of citizenship. When I wrote Do Not Die in their war rather, I devoted what was at the time probably just a chapter really to citizenship in Nigeria. And that was the part that I had that we should all familiarize ourselves with. And after asking you to read it, I've also taken the time to reread that section of the book. And what I have found is that I have evolved from where I was. Nothing about what I wrote then has been invalidated by my new revelations, but I have evolved. My thinking on the subject of citizenship in Nigeria has moved from where it was. Moved in the sense that, yes, I did say in that book that Nigerians cannot truly be said to be citizens, but were more or less members of the Nigerian state. But I have come to the conclusion since then that our issues are probably a little more nuanced than commentators on the Nigerian project have hitherto imagined. And I would explain myself. But to lay the theoretical foundation for the point I seek to make, I'm going to be a little academic, so to say, tonight. The concept of citizenship comes from the doctrine of the state and its creation itself. For you to be a citizen, you have to be a member of a state. So if you're talking about a country, you're talking about an entity that has geographical space and then that has citizens. But I am afraid to say that Nigeria, yes, it is a country in the sense that it has geographical space, but I lament to say that we are actually not citizens. In apartheid South Africa, Black South Africans also carried passports, but it did not change the fact that they had less rights than the whites who were privileged and a dominant group within South Africa. Now, in Nigeria, what you find is that right from the outset, because we were always a colonial possession, we were never dealt with as individuals. The colonials dealt with groups. They dealt with our kings, they dealt with our chiefs, our emirs, but they never dealt with us as individuals or as human beings. We were aggregated. So people spoke on people's behalf. That had always been the foundation of the Nigerian state. Unlike European states or American states where individuals were the components of what became the state, even though the individuals evolved from their positions as serfs, much like what we are right now in Nigeria. They evolved over time, and based on their common histories, their common struggles, they became the foundation of states. Once Europe came out of the medieval age, human beings became the foundation of the state, and you could no longer hear the likes of Louis XVI talking about "L'état c'est moi," I am the state, because the king was no longer the state. The state was the aggregation of the sovereign will of the people. So the people became the foundation of modern Europe and consequently America and almost every other modern state that you have in the world today. But unfortunately, in our own case, even after the history of our colonial past, which is very significant to an understanding of why we are the way we are, even immediately after that, what you found was that the Nigerian state was still structured in a manner that rights were still being aggregated, which was why the minorities were particularly agitated at the dawn of our independence. They were concerned about being subsumed within the three large ethnic groups in Nigeria. And the Willings Commission was raised specifically to address the concerns of these minority groups. And when this happened, the Willings Commission was very specific in addressing those issues, but there was a particular thing that the Willings Commission recommended that became part and parcel of the Independence Constitution, and that was the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights had its root in the agitation of the minority because of apprehensions they had about being dominated by the three major groups. So what we call our fundamental human rights today actually didn't come about as a function of a national demand for rights to be enshrined. It came as a result of the fears of the minority that they were going to be oppressed within the Nigerian state. So oppression had been part and parcel of the makeup of the Nigerian state from the beginning. Nigeria was never an equitable entity. The only difference between then and now, don't worry, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but here's the thing. Nigeria was never equitable, even at its foundation. There had always been fears of domination, and that can only happen because of the experience of those who are here. Now, by the time the military came in 1966, one thing that we have all always glossed over is the fact that the constitution the military abrogated in 1966 was the last sovereign will of the Nigerian people. However imperfect that document might be, that was the last time the Nigerian people had a genuine say of any sort in how they will be governed. And that was the point where we lost our citizenship. Because here is the thing. Who is a citizen? A citizen is a person, a member of a state, who is the equal of any other person within that state and is expecting of protection of his properties and his life and all other rights that are inures to a human being within the state in which he has membership. Now, citizenship cannot inure on multiple levels. The moment you have a provincial level of citizenship, citizenship is no longer equal. Once upon a time, at the foundation of the mess that we are in today, the rights were aggregated on behalf of ethnic groups, and people arrogated rights on behalf of groups, on behalf of regions, on behalf of religions. Several rights were arrogated like this, but with each arrogation of right to interests and specific groups, what happens is that when you guarantee right to someone, you thereby guarantee a disadvantage to another. Now, when you now begin to have differential levels of citizenship, it means also that parties with members of the same state are going to automatically be treated different from each other. The immediate aftermath of the Civil War saw the institutionalization of a whole lot of injustice that has assured that Nigeria has grown, but the injustices have equally grown. So the Nigerian state in which we find ourselves today is one where instead of having citizens, you have a class of rulers. This class of rulers are no different from any monarchy, but in our own case is a feudal system. This feudal system has created two classes of Nigerians. The first, the rulers. The second, the ruled. The rulers cut across every ethnicity and they cut across every religion. Once upon a time, the rights that were supposedly reserved for the Hausa Fulani or for the Yoruba or for the Ijaw, any right that was ever reserved for anybody is no longer being claimed by any ethnicity or any one of those original claimers of those rights anymore. It has evolved, and what we now have is a situation where our oppressors are us, our rulers are us. The foundation of their claims might be the aggregation of rights influenced by a particular hegemony, but it is no longer the case. The victims of today's systemic misrule are also citizens of Nigeria. The persons in Katsina State, the president's home state, is a Nigerian, but his rights as a citizen of this country has been abrogated simply because of the incompetence that has been entrenched by a system that has promoted a patently incompetent person into office on behalf of a people. Now, where we are today, we're in a place where our police and our army do not exist for the protection of the citizen. Because if they do exist for the protection of a citizen, they will not be out in force today arresting peaceful protesters. These same policemen provide cover during political rallies. If we're truly in a democracy, why would it be that the police are able to provide 30,000 policemen for Osun State rerun, but they could not find the grace to protect marchers today? They became the enforcers of the system because they are not seen as citizens by the system. Nigerians are not citizens. We lie to ourselves about being citizens. But the reality of the matter is that our army does not exist for the protection of the citizens. It's been perverted just like every other part of our state. They exist for the suppression of the rights of the Nigerian people. So we're a nation where we have found ways to change the meaning of words. Once upon a time, a citizen meant somebody who had rights before the law. But in Nigeria, the word citizen came to die. What we have in Nigeria today is a state devoid of citizens, full of subjects, ruled by incompetent, myopic men who do not appear to understand that someday will come, each and every one of us will be long gone. How do you demand patriotism from a man to whom you have denied the rights of a citizen? The totality of the agitations for secession in Nigeria today arises from the grievances of citizens whose rights have been gruesomely and brutally suppressed. The first condition of the human spirit is justice. And however long a person is suppressed, the human spirit will continually demand justice. Nigeria as it is unsustainable. But we, who wishes to be citizens, must recognize that our struggle is not necessarily a pro-democracy struggle. It's a liberation struggle. We are not in a democracy and we are not citizens. I have promised that this particular series will not take more than 15 minutes of your time during the course of the week. I'll be back here again on Friday. And on Friday, the subject on Friday will be Nigeria and the international community. I have rarely spoken to Nigerians in the diaspora directly, but I do intend to be speaking with you on Friday. I hope you find the time. Look forward to seeing you. But as a parting word, I would like to say this. How do you demand patriotism from those to whom you have denied the rights of citizenship? Good night, everybody. Ponder this, but remember, this is not normal. We have to regret our country. Good night.